Okay, so I think I've already mentioned this saying, but I just really like it. Before enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. It's so simple yet beautiful, and I think it hits the nail on the head. You don't need to say much more to convey it, but I will explain. I will explain because I can. So the work does not end, but your reasoning for working does. I do not continue on my path for myself. I see my life as a success already. I do not need to achieve anything else to be happy. However, there is much I'd like to do for this world, and so I will continue to work until I can't. Not because I have to, but because I can. And so what I'm saying there is basically, in the most optimistic way possible, I am not afraid of death. Not that I want to die, but if I were to die, then that would be okay. Because at the end of at the end of it all, I don't like I don't really need to do anything. Right? On the grand scheme of things, I guess it doesn't really matter. And I guess I can kind of tie in, I believe, Buddha's like big reasoning for chasing enlightenment and what really kind of set him on the path that he pursued was that he saw a dead body, and seeing a dead body, told him basically like, he found out that you just die, like everyone eventually dies. And that wasn't something that he was exposed to because he was apparently very protected. At least that's the story. Or whether or not that's actually real, I don't know. But basically, he was a prince, and so he lived a very plush and protected life. And so they didn't expose him to the real world. And so he was living in basically a fantasy. And as soon as well, maybe not as soon as, but once he discovered that death was a thing and that everyone does it eventually, right? It led him to wonder, then what am I even doing here? What's the point of all this? I'm just going to die anyway, right? So you can do all this stuff, but you're just going to die anyway. So why even bother doing all those things? So it set him on this path of figuring out what it is he's doing here and, trying to attain enlightenment and basically realization as to what it is that this world is and why we're here. And so, realizing that death is just the inevitability of things, I don't think is a negative thing to have. I don't think that it's something we should fear. I think our society is extremely afraid of death and also aging and just the natural progression of life. We want to stay young and beautiful as long as possible because we see people that are old as ugly, and I don't think that is a healthy viewpoint of the world, and it's just not the way the world works, right? It's just not a naturalistic way to view the world. It's a very disconnected and disassociated way to live life because it's not realistic. It's not real. You can try all you want to live forever, but you will die. And you could argue that, oh, maybe we'll figure out a way, but if you found a way to achieve eternal life, whatever method that is it still actually you that's living? Which is potentially a good question to ask yourself. If you uploaded your consciousness, if we figured out how to upload your consciousness to to some kind of database or some virtual world, right? Is that really still you? And the answer is, I don't know, right? I don't know. So you may be like, oh, I'm going to live forever. And maybe some thing does, but it may not be you. Which is kind of an interesting thing to think about. But, time is just a really crazy thing, because the me I am now is not the me of tomorrow, nor is it the me of yesterday. And I think that that's something that's very important for people to realize, is that we're all afraid of growing up and changing, and yet we change constantly. Everything is changing all the time. And so seeing one thing as better than the other, I think, is a very limited way to look at life. And I feel like I got really into this whole, death and stuff thing. Well, really what I wanted to try and say is that because I have no, attachment to what my life is, right? I don't want to live like an awful life. Obviously, I want to live a good, pleasant life. I don't want to constantly be suffering. But at the same time, I also I don't have a strong attachment to what my life is. I don't need to be a millionaire to feel happy. I don't need to, really do anything. I'm trying to do stuff. I want to do more because I feel it is almost my mission, basically, to do as much good as I can before my time is up. And it's not because I want some legacy where I'm the greatest person ever. It's because I just want to help people, because I know that I know that I wasn't the first, and I know I won't be the last. And so if I can make things better for the future, why would I not want to do that? Why wouldn't I want to help them out? Why would I focus only on myself when myself will be gone so soon, but the future will carry on for as long as we let it, right? As long as we continue trying to proliferate the future, it will be there. In theory. And so, I just think that it's a very potentially meaningless life to focus solely on yourself and what you can achieve and what you have, because when you're gone, it will mean nothing. Whereas even if you're not remembered for it, you helped the world be just a little bit better of a place, right? That ripple that you've created will well outlast your life. And maybe it won't be, too much, like, right, a ripple in the ocean isn't a big deal, but better to make a ripple than nothing at all, is my kind of outlook on it. Because in the reality of things, it doesn't matter if you even make a tsunami, right, or a tidal wave or whatever it's called, right? Even if you make the biggest wave possible, that wave eventually dies out. So it doesn't really matter how much you do, but if it doesn't matter how much you do, and it doesn't matter what you have or what you do for yourself, then why not just do stuff to help other people anyway? And that's kind of my outlook on things. And really the reality is that you come to the realization that, my whole life I've been working and struggling, to make it. And then you come to the realization that the rest of my life is going to be working and struggling to make it, because there is no destination. There is no perfection. There is nothing there is no finish line. There's no point where you say, okay, enough is enough. We're done. We're good. It doesn't exist. You can say enough is enough. We're done. We're good. But there is always something that can be improved, because that's just how things are, right? People, there's more food than there's ever been on the planet, right? And yet there's still more that can be done, right? Because people still starve, which is just absurd, right? But, we, in theory, live in the best society there's ever been, in theory. However, you can see, you turn on the news, there is still work to be done, right? So I don't think that ever changes. And so I think that, you kind of come to realize that, all there is chopping wood and carrying water. And when you realize that that's all there is, you don't look at it in such a bad light anymore. Because before you were saying like, oh, I have to chop wood and carry water to survive. But now you just look at it as I wake up today so I can chop wood and carry water. Right? When you no longer put that strain and struggle on the end of it and put this, oh, I gotta do it so that I can, keep living. And it's like, no, I keep living so that I can keep doing this. And I don't know. I just think that that's a better way to look at life. And I think that, this saying is just really good. I don't know. I like it. So, yeah. Peace out.